Here's something researchers discovered entirely by accident. While studying dogs' ability to learn the names of toys, scientists at Eötvös Loránd University in Hungary noticed something unexpected. The dogs that were best at remembering toy names, the ones researchers called gifted word learners, tilted their heads significantly more than the dogs who couldn't. Not randomly, not occasionally, consistently, every time they were asked to fetch something by name. The head tilt wasn't a cute habit, it was a thinking signal. And that accidental discovery opened up a question that researchers have been trying to answer ever since. What is actually happening inside your dog's brain when they do that? The answer involves language processing, brain lateralization, cognitive offloading, and a 2025 study published just months ago that changes everything we thought we knew about this behavior. Most people have a simple explanation for the head tilt. The dog is trying to hear better. They're adjusting their ear position to pick up sound more clearly. Simple physics, cute result. That explanation isn't wrong, but it's so incomplete that it misses almost everything interesting about what's happening. Because the research shows that dogs don't tilt their heads equally in response to all sounds. They tilt for specific ones. A 2025 study, one of the most comprehensive ever conducted on this behavior, had 103 dog owners film their dogs under 4 different conditions: resting, eye contact and silence, listening to unfamiliar speech about neutral topics, and finally, hearing familiar words delivered with warmth and excitement.
The head tilt appeared almost exclusively in that last condition. Not silence, not unfamiliar speech, not just any sound. Familiar words from their person with emotional warmth behind them. Your dog isn't tilting their head to hear better. They're tilting it because something you said meant something to them. So what's actually happening? Researchers have identified at least 3 things going on simultaneously when your dog tilts their head. The first is sound localization, and it's more sophisticated than you think. Dogs have ear canals that can partially block certain sound frequencies. By rotating the head, they can adjust the angle at which sound enters, helping them process not just the volume, but the direction and nuance of what they're hearing. But this alone doesn't explain why it happens with familiar words and not unfamiliar ones. The second is something researchers call cognitive offloading. In humans, cognitive offloading happens when we use physical movement to help process difficult information. When you tilt your head to read sideways text, when you gesture with your hands while trying to remember something. The physical action reduces the mental load. Researchers from George Washington University, who published a 2024 study on the head tilt, suggested the same mechanism may be operating in dogs. The tilt isn't passive, it's active processing. Your dog's brain is working, and the tilt is part of how it works. The third, and the one that changes the picture entirely, is language processing. The Eötvös Loránd University study found something remarkable. Dogs that tilted their heads more were significantly better at matching words to objects. The tilt correlated with successful memory retrieval. And the 2024 research published in the journal Animals found something even more specific. The direction of the tilt, left or right, is consistent within individual dogs. It doesn't randomly change. It's stable across months of testing. Which means your dog doesn't just tilt their head, they tilt it in their direction, the same way every time, because the same hemisphere of their brain is engaging. Here's the part most owners never hear. The head tilt may be one of the clearest visible signals of canine intelligence that exists. In the gifted word learner study, the dogs that tilted their heads most were the ones capable of learning and remembering the names of dozens of objects. Most dogs struggle to reliably learn even 2 or 3. These dogs were learning 20, 30, 40. And every time they were asked to retrieve something by name, the head tilt appeared, right at the moment of processing the word and searching memory for the correct object. The researchers described it as a visible window into the dog's cognitive effort. You're not just watching a cute behavior when your dog tilts their head, you're watching them think. Now here's where it gets practical.
The 2025 research confirmed something that the American Kennel Club had already begun noting. The head tilt is also learned behavior. When your dog tilts their head and you respond with excitement, treats, or affection, which almost every owner does, the dog learns that tilting their head gets a good reaction. Over time, some dogs begin tilting their head specifically to trigger that response from you, even when they're not actively processing language. Which means two things. One, you may be training your dog to tilt their head without realizing it. Two, not every head tilt means the same thing. A tilt in the middle of a focused interaction is cognitive processing. A tilt that appears right before you reach for the treat bag is something else entirely. Context matters. Watch when it happens, not just that it happens. There's something worth sitting with in all of this. That moment, your dog looking up at you, head tilted, ears slightly forward, has been happening between dogs and humans for as long as dogs have existed.
And we spent most of that time thinking it was just about ears. It turns out it's about language, about memory, about a brain engaging fully with the words of someone it recognizes and trusts. Your dog tilts their head when you speak because what you're saying matters to them. Because the sound of your voice, carrying words they know, triggers something in them that unfamiliar noise simply doesn't. It's not cute. Well, it is cute. But it's also one of the most sophisticated things your dog's brain does. If this changed how you see the next head tilt, subscribe. See you then.